All right, let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Showalter.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Redlin.
Here.
Thompson.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening, everybody. We will start the meeting out with a public hearing regarding the 2022 budget amendment for the electric utility. On that, I would like to open that hearing at 5 o'clock. Kent, if you would like to speak.
Sure. As stated at the previous meeting, city staff, the city clerk Mary Volk and I, as well as Dustin as the director of electric utilities, wanted to put forward this request for amending the budget for the electric utility. The original expenditures for 2022 was $6,822,607, and it was just increasing the proposed amendment, and that's what the hearing is about, is to increase that by $200,000 to $7,022,607. And the main reason for that is over the year, it's very high prices as far as the power that's been delivered to us. We've passed that obviously on to the customers, but those power bills have exceeded the amount that there's a possibility they could exceed the amount that we have in the budget. The other thing that's been affecting our budget is the increased costs due to supply chain issues, and just it's been far more than 8 or 9% as far as the increased cost of different items that Dustin has had to purchase for the electric utility. And sometimes those have been twice as much, or quite a bit more than expected. This amendment, it just gives us the authority to spend more than $6.8 million for the electric utility for the year 2022. Doesn't mean we have to or that we will. It was only if the bills justify it. We end up over that amount, and that'll allow us not to violate the budget. So that is the main reason for this proposed amendment, and Mary gave an updated amount as far as both revenue and expenditure wise, because I remember when Commissioner Redlin asked as far as the do we have the money to pay for it. Along with the increased expenditures, we've had increased revenues, so we're able to do it. So there's really no additional costs being done with this budget amendment. It's just because of the monthly costs as we've gone along the year, especially the last half of the year. We had 3 or 4 months where normally we're power bills around 200, 300,000. We were in the $500,000 range. Obviously, you can't do that very long and expect to stay within your budget. So, and I'm doing this little extra explanation just to say for the public's sake regarding this, but right now, and we still have, one bill left or 2 bills left from, 1 bill left from Prairie Land, which is the Sunflower bill, how the power is delivered to the city. But on the revenue side, we're at about $6.5 million at this point in December. We have obviously all the receipts through December to receive. And then the total for the electric utility is right at $6,401,000. So we're pretty close to that 6.8 million. The power bills is going to be in the 200 to 300 range, and then as with the other normal costs, monthly costs for the bill, it'll be really close to that 6.822. So that's why the request for the budget amendment to go to $1,022,607 to allow us to have the authority to go over that 6.8 million. So that's been the request for the budget amendment.
All right, anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, and we will close this public hearing at 5:05 p.m. Okay, we have any signed up for public comment tonight? Nope. Okay. Let's move on to our consent agenda. We have A, 11/21/22 commission meeting minutes, and B, the appropriation ordinances 2022-24, 2022-24A, and 2022-P24. Does anybody have any questions or comments concerning those?
One thing, it was written on the agenda as November 21st, 2022 commission minutes. It's actually December 5th commission meeting minutes.
Sure enough.
Staff apologizes for the error.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I move that we approve the consent agenda, items A and B, with the updated date to 12/5/2022.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Rudlin,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Myers. Further discussion? Roll, please.
Yes. Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we will move on to formal actions, starting with A, the budget amendment regarding the electric utility that we just had the hearing about.
As was stated previously regarding the hearing, it was that information again. And staff respectfully requests the board to approve the amended budget. And that way we can, if it is approved, we can send it to the state and obviously the other folks that get involved. The auditor also provided a comment saying that he agreed with the staff's recommendation for the amended budget.
So just a question, if we were to decide not to approve this amendment and the total bills were to come in to be greater than the amount budgeted for, what would happen at that point?
We would end up with a budget violation and the auditor would report that in his report to the state, and we would receive a letter from the state saying you're in violation. There's no, I don't know, Mary, I don't know of an actual penalty.
for some of the violations like that, there's fines, but I don't know what the actual penalty is. I don't know if this one is one. I've never had one, so I don't know. I guess.
Well, kudos. Anybody else have any other questions or comments or concerns? Well, I will make a motion to approve the 2022 budget amendment for the electric utility.
Second that.
I have a second by Commissioner Showalter. Further discussion? Roll, please.
Showalter,
Yes.
Redmond,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to B, the proposed contract amendment for increased charges regarding collection and disposal of refuse within the can.
Mayor Thompson, due to the conflict of interest I have, as this is being my dad, I must abstain my vote and also recuse myself from the conversation that's about to take place.
Okay, thank you. Kent?
At the last meeting, we had a formal request from In the Can LLC and Chuck Redlin with that company. as far as formally request and discuss with the board a rate change regarding trash removal. The request was for an increase of a $3 rate or $3 charge in addition to the current rate for residential and commercial. What is presented to the commission is a contract amendment to make those changes within the contract. The current solid waste contract was approved at the end of 2016 and it actually started at the beginning of 2017. And it's on 10 one-year renewals. There was 1 year at the start, and then there's 10 one-year renewals. That's part of the contract. But the contract amendments in your packets, and I don't know if City Attorney Kling, I don't think he has any additional adjustments to the proposed contract. I wasn't able to have his comments before the packet was prepared, but
Nope, again, this is pretty simple. All you're doing is just replacing the rate numbers. So as far as a substantive change, there really is not a substantive change.
just stand for questions.
Any chance I can get you to come to the podium for a minute? And just introduce yourself real quick if you would.
I'm Chuck Redlin, operator of In the Can LLC.
Okay. So you were here last meeting, we kind of discussed this a little bit. You
Yes.
said you wanted the $3 for residential and for commercial. I don't remember if we discussed this or not. How did you come to that amount of an increase?
Well, we know what we're falling short a month of covering everything, and we know what we're gonna need, and that's kind of a minimum of what we need to keep operating with the costs, what we have. And it's not just fuel, it's, it's everything we do. It's not, like you say, 8%, it's double on most everything, and sometimes 3 times. So it's, I think our request is very minimal of what we're asking for. It's not fun, as you all know.
Can you give us an example, just for everybody to know? You have to replace a bottom in a dumpster.
Okay,
Okay, what did that cost 3 years ago versus what it costs now?
we used to
replace
buy new cans for $600. It's costing us over $600 just to repair old cans now. New cans, if we could even get them, are over $1,500. And, lids were $50, they're $100 now. And just go right down the line. Tires for the trucks are, at least almost double. So, but yeah, it's, like I said, we're spending more to repair cans than we used to buy a complete new can for. And the company we used to get the cans from has went out of business. So now we gotta go further away to get them, so trucking is more to get them in and things like that, so we will be repairing more cans.
It's just one of those things that this day and age, we've gotta keep up with the times, and you've gotta have good equipment and good cans so that your service is done in a timely manner and a
Right.
clean manner.
Right. And it's, we watch every dollar. I mean, we do make it work. And it's, I don't want to ask for this, but we have to.
Chuck, I'm just curious, would you be open to any kind of alternative approaches, such as trying to spread it out, maybe do $1.50 this year and $1.50 next year? Or do you feel like you have to have that $3 right now?
Because we've went 6 months. I've been wondering what to do on this deal, and it just, I thought maybe we'd get some relief, and we just haven't. It's, you know, if anything, it's gotten worse. So, no, we have to have this. I should be asking for more, but I live in this community too, and I feel that this is a minimum.
Okay, thank you.
I do. It's tough. You know, we understand it's tough for you, and you have added expenses coming up on your end that you need to cover. It's also tough on our end, on the other side too, because we have, if any increases that we make, we have to justify to everybody else in the community, you know, who's already seeing other increases coming up on their city bill as it is. You know, there have been other increases that have gone on there. So we just have to be able to justify. So $3 kind of figures out. I had the numbers earlier, but I didn't have the exact numbers, just kind of rough. It's about 18% increase of what your annual contract is roughly.
Right.
Like $1.50, like you mentioned, would be about 9%. It's easier to sell to the residents, you know, a 9% increase than an almost 20% increase, even though that probably is your true cost adjustments that you're making. You know, everybody is having higher bills and tougher times, and you know, not everybody gets the opportunity to renegotiate their salary in such a way. So
And we have not had a rate increase for, what, 6 years, 7 years? So,
that is also
yes.
true, and something that I've thought about and taking into consideration as well. I'm kind of surprised you didn't come up last year, honestly.
I should have.
Yeah.
And I was just hoping that things would level off. I really did, and it didn't. It didn't happen, as we know.
Just as
Certainly.
another point of information, Madam Mayor,
Mhm.
about how many containers do you repair and how many do you replace per year? Even before this year, when you can't get them, seems like hardly anymore, but
We've been repairing probably around 200 through the year, each year. Replacement has been really tough, so we haven't done that for a couple of years. Been just repairing, and we did purchase some used containers come out of Denver here. That was 2-3 years ago at a reasonable price, and we got them in, and so that helped us out a bunch. So I guess that's the last dumpsters that we did purchase, is them used containers. They had discontinued the way they did the service there, and we got a chance to buy, I think we bought like 300 of them. And that hasn't happened anymore. I tried to do some of that, and there again, by the time we get them trucked in and everything, we're right at new price. So.
Yeah.
I know, we talked yesterday that your vehicles are struggling too,
Yes.
which is,
Yeah, the trucks,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
it just, everything, and everybody knows this, everything you touch, if you gotta fix it, it's hard to get the parts, and it's very expensive always. What we used to buy for $500 is $1,500. And just go right down the line that way.
Anybody have any more questions for Chuck? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
What do you guys think?
certainly, you know, something that I've been going over for the last, you know, couple of weeks since we first had it brought up. It's, you know, it's easy for, you know, us on this side of the table to talk about a $3 increase, and, you know, at the end of the day, that $3 isn't gonna bother me any, as I can pay for it. You know, I always think about the people who, you know, are trying to make ends meet, and, you know, Chuck is one of them, I'm sure, that, you know, has to worry about those things, and and I think anytime we talk about raising the city bills, that's something that we, you know, need to think long and hard about. It's not a rubber stamp decision that we say, you know, whatever we need to do, let's just do it, because we have a lot of things to think about when those things come up. So it's definitely been something that I've been wrestling with. That's why, one of the reasons why I asked Chuck about maybe an alternative approach to try and give the taxpayers and the citizens a chance to work their way to that $3 increase. But, you know, I'll say this, you know, every time I've had a chance to call Chuck, and if I need some, you know, something after hours, or, you know, whatever, their guys are always there to help out, and they do a great job with it. And it's, you know, I have no doubt when he tells us he needs those $3, that he needs that $3. So that makes the decisions even more, they're even more tough. I'm sure you guys, as well as I have, you know, we raise anything on the city bill. You feel the heat. People don't like that. So definitely a struggle back and forth. So.
And it's seeming to be a way of life anymore. Everything goes up, nothing seems to be going down. And it's, we need the surface too.
I feel like, because we're in the 6th year of your contract now, right? Like, even if it would have come in like every couple of years and done a little increase every couple of years as expenses just kind of gotten a little higher, it'd be easier. This would be an easier decision for us, instead of we're sitting in this spot where everything's super expensive for everybody, you too. So you're asking for a larger increase to cover your expenses at the same time that everybody else is also having higher increases in their expenses, which just makes it a little more difficult on our end to just say, okay, you know, I mean, I do feel like you probably absolutely do need to have this 3%, but for us to justify that to the citizens of the city, just in the circumstances that everybody's in right now, it's just a little more difficult. But
I think it's the worst of two evils. I mean, yes, he needs the increase, and we don't want a decrease of our trash being picked up, because then it'll be blowing all over everywhere, because all the dumpsters would be full if it's not picked up in a weekly matter. So as we've said before, that we hate raising the city bill on anything, but it's just one of those things we probably just have to do.
any other thoughts?
So I'll make a motion to approve the contract amendment for the increase in service charges for the collection and disposal of the refuse within the can, LLC, for $3. That's what he was requesting.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Howard.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Myers. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Redmond, Thompson.
Yes. Thank you. We really do appreciate you guys, so you know. Okay, let's move on to C, the 2024 Airport Capital Improvement Plan approval. Kent?
And the airport board approved, it was presented to the airport board on December 9th. They approved this airport capital improvement plan, which is something we have to file annually with the FAA for projects that are upcoming, mainly for the grant basis and other things, other projects that will be done at the airport. From EBH tonight, Andrew is with us, and he'll be able to explain any additional details regarding the airport capital improvement plan.
You guys have any questions as far as the list is concerned? Basically, the list is a copy of what was approved last year, with the exception of last year we had to acquire the snow removal equipment. Currently, that's what we're working on now. So then we bumped up a new number one. Now we need a place to store it. And that's why the construct, rehabilitate, modify sand chemical storage buildings now number one on the priority list. So, other than that, really the list is the exact same from last year. We did bump up the cost, obviously, as we've all been talking about costs here this meeting. That cost we did increase that substantially from last year in that total eligible cost column. But other than that, really nothing new. And like Kent said, this was brought before the airport board and city staff, and both were happy, and I believe both were happy. And airport board moved to send it up to you guys. So.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
This is actually for federal fiscal year 24, which may seem like that's in the future, but by the time it gets through all the
It's
federal,
only 6 months down the road, 7.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
only till October 1st
Or
of
October.
23.
Sorry, that's
Yeah,
state. Yeah,
so
you got me there.
it's federal fiscal year, so that's why it's done at this time. Takes a while to get through all the Fed stuff.
Just paperwork.
And we do have an airport fund that we keep money in for these projects moving into the future. And in the last few years, we've gotten pretty lucky where we have not had to spend much money out of that fund.
It's very fortunate.
So, as long as that keeps being the case, it makes it a lot easier to just move forward with things, But I suppose one of these years that's going to run out, and it's going to get a little tougher. But for now, things seem to be running pretty smoothly out there.
Well, I would motion that we approve the 2024 Airport Capital Improvement Plan.
I have a motion by Commissioner Showalter.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
A second by Commissioner Redlin. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Redlin,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes?
I don't know where I got you.
Yes. All right. Thank you. All right, we're done. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right, let's move on to D, the 2023 renewal of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Insurance. Kent?
And I will defer to the person on the screen, that's J.L. Miller with IMA. Was working with us as a broker for our health insurance services. He provides the services to the city of Goodland.
All right, welcome.
Welcome. Well, thank you for having me. Good evening, commissioners. So I have, you all can see the packet that I provided, correct? Like I don't need to share anything on a screen or anything like that.
We commissioners have it.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to start running through that then. Overall, this was a really favorable renewal for 2023 for the city of Goodland. We're looking at an overall decrease of 0.2%. This decrease is really due to some good utilization over the past 36 months. So because you're a self-funded plan, Blue Cross looks at 36 months of data in order to build your renewal, and there's just been some very good medical utilization over that time. Dollar wise, that 0.2% decrease is a decrease of $1,309. There are three parts that make up that your total healthcare costs. So, first one being administration cost. Blue Cross Blue Shield is leaving those flat for the second year in a row. So there's no increase there. There are stop loss premiums. So the insurance you're paying to protect the city is actually seeing the largest decrease of all the three parts and pieces. It's 5.6%. This decrease is for two reasons. One, Blue Cross Blue Shield does not anticipate, and they only anticipate 3 stop loss hits for the remainder of the 2022 plan year. So they see some good utilization. And two, the city of Goodland is pooled with other employers in the state of Kansas who purchase the same stop loss number. So the city purchases a deductible on every individual on the health plan of $30,000. So the city is paying claims up to $30,000 on everybody on the health plan. Other employers that are purchasing that same amount are also running well within that pool. So that is helping, and why you're seeing a decrease on your stop loss premiums this year. And then the third piece of that is the actual medical claims. So Blue Cross is anticipating an increase of medical claims of 3.6%. This really is in line with just trend overall for self-funded health plans moving into 2023. The dental renewal did receive a slight increase of 0.4%. That overall dollar amount is $724. This is something in terms of seeing dental increases we're seeing across the board with our book of business. 2020 people didn't necessarily seek dental care. They started, maybe delayed that a little bit in 2021. And so because of some of that delayed, we're just seeing some increased utilization around dental. In our conversations with the city around budget, it was determined that the reserve fund is healthy enough that we can continue to budget at expected this year. And so in doing so, the city or the employees will keep their contributions at $0, and then the city is going to get the benefit of that entire decrease, so $1,309 at expected. So that's kind of a high level overview of the renewal for this year.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions?
I think kudos goes to the employees for making sure that those costs stay down. Excellent.
I would add your plan design and the way your plan is structured helps a lot with that as well. So because you still have a grandfathered plan and it is a self-submit pharmacy, so when employees want to go to the pharmacy and submit it or get a prescription, they have to submit claims on their own, and that's actually keeping that's what's keeping your plan cost down. Employees, yes, kudos definitely to them. But you're only paying 1% of pharmacy costs in the total claims right now. And the Blue Cross book of business is anywhere from 30% to 40% of pharmacy claims. So last year we had talked about, keeping your plan as it is and staying grandfathered. It's because you're managing your claims the best you can right now. And it's something I'll recommend we stay with until we can't.
Well, I know I was pretty excited to see that we have the same plan renewed for a slightly smaller price tag than last year,
Absolutely. That's not happening in the fully insured space. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of large increases and discussions happening. So this is one of the best I've seen so far for all my 1/1 renewals on.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
Make a motion that we renew the Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance for 2023.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Showalter and a second by Commissioner Redlin. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes to this being the easiest renewal
It
in
is.
3 years.
Thank you
I
very
have
much
done.
for being
Thank you, Ms. Miller, for all your work that you've done for us
Yay.
too. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Yes, thank you
Increases
so
are
much.
platform I can get behind.
Have a good evening.
We said no. Free money.
Okay, let's move on to E, the Tantalus hosting services. Ken?
I'm gonna defer to my city clerk. It's basically a situation involving our electronic meter reading system for electric and water utilities. Currently, the system is hosted on our local server. However, we're not gonna purchase with the Tantalus system. However, they're not going to allow us to continue in that manner. And I'll allow both Mary and Josh to make further. Josh is refusing to answer questions. Mary can
I
provide
will
some
tell you
additional
that
information.
I've given you the three options that we have. One of them is the iCloud, and I know it looks like it's the most beneficial or cheapest, but I will tell you that in my experience with my current software company, I've moved it to the cloud and with the anticipation of saving costs, and it has cost more with hidden costs that they haven't brought forth. And that's my hesitation of moving it to the cloud. That $12,552 cost that's there, understand that that is a cost that fluctuates every year. From last year to this year, it did go up $1,000. So in the 3-year average, I've kept it level, but I don't anticipate that cost remaining level if you would stay with the on-premise virtual or the iCloud. The on-premise virtue is basically we host it on a server here, and which would run into hardware costs if we purchase a server. We can continue to use our current server, but we've been on it for 6 years, and they won't update our software, which if you're using the software, why would you not want the updates? So that's our hesitation there. We've worked with KMEA, and they are working with other Kansas cities that are beginning to use Tantalus. We were one of the first cities, we are the first city in Kansas that has started to use Tantalus. And I think they've got 4 on the server now. And as that number increases, our costs with KMEA will decrease. So it appears to be more expensive, but they have 2 more on the hook with us, that they're planning on hosting, which would decrease our costs. Plus, if we went with KMEA, the user training that we don't get because we'd have to go to Texas or Arizona. And KMEA, when we discussed that with them, they kind of lit up saying, well, we will work to get training in Kansas. And that's probably the biggest comment we have with people on Tantalus in Kansas is they can't go to user conferences. First, they're cost prohibitive, and then you have to travel a long distance to go there. I was trying to think what the other benefits. KMEA has always been an advocate to the city and for the city, and that's kind of one of the reasons I'd like to stay with KMEA. They can have the hardware or, the issues with the hardware, and we don't have to deal with it. But our costs, it appears a little more, but I think it's more beneficial for the city.
And it might actually reduce over time as
Yeah.
additional cities come on to it. And when Mary mentioned there, she has a regular financial software, G-Works, that has had to move towards a cloud-based system. That's what she's talking about. This Tantalus is just regarding the meter reading type information, so it's a second suite of software. I mean, it's a smaller set of actions that occur with it. But it is very beneficial for our staff in order to provide information both to the customer and to staff to address issues that are occurring, both in the water utility, well, especially in the water utility, but also in the electric utility as well. Because Shauna and other staff can look on for information and give information back to the customer almost immediately. Wouldn't you say that's
Yes, that
correct,
is the
Mary?
case.
So this is, you end up with a software, they say it will do great things, and then we've ended up, we really depend on this software. But unfortunately, over the last 6 years now they won't let us host it on our own server. We have to end up with a different structure.
Mhm.
And so that's why these three options are presented to you.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding our options?
To me, it sounds like the KMEA option is probably better. I think especially for the people like Mary and the girls that have to use it all the time. I'd much rather them have something that they're comfortable with and that, you know, it might be a little bit more right now, but I feel like that's the way that we need to go.
Anybody else? Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you. I think, you know, it is a little more upfront right now, and you know, we say a little more, it's $2,500. You know, with the possibility of it continuing to go down as the pool becomes larger in the state, whereas the other way, it's more likely to go to the other direction if we're just hanging out on our own island. So to consider the future of the program as well.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Mary, what was the final comment from KMEA regarding an actual, if the board would decide to be in favor of it, to enter into an agreement? Was it an actual agreement, or was it just?
No, it's verbal, and they would bill us then in January for the license fee, and we'd work with Tantalus to pay their costs, and then work with KMEA to pay that maintenance, or I'm sorry, Tantalus.
So what we're looking for is for the board to give staff direction about
Yeah.
which alternative to pursue.
Yeah,
So you don't need a motion, then you just need direction.
Yeah, it can be a motion for those staff
Yeah.
directions, but then,
I would
I'm
rather the
assuming,
motion
I'm assuming you have
direct.
to write a contract and stuff.
What's that?
I'm assuming you have to write a contract, like once we're past the verbal, correct?
She talked to Tyson at KMEA today, and they said there would not be an actual signature contract.
we're gonna confirm that though. I'm sure, yes. I would think
That's
it would be
interesting.
too.
If you'd like a contract, I know they'll do one.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I guess I would make a motion then to direct city staff to develop an agreement with Tantalus for hosting services through KMEA.
That'll work.
Nope.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Commissioner Showalter and a second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion?
Was that Howard or Redland?
This time it was Howard.
I was
know
going
they've
by
been kinda
sound.
bickering back
I was
and
going by
forth
sound,
over
and that
here,
didn't sound like
but-
it. Sorry.
Any other discussion on that? No? Roll, please.
Myers,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe if we could get further clarification exactly how it would work, contract, non-contract, exactly how the back end.
I will ask him tomorrow, and then I'll let him put it in his report or whatever.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other formal actions? That was quite a list of them tonight. Now, let's move on to discussion items. We have Wallace Hanson here, regarding an application for the planning commission.
You-
Okay.
And Mr. Hanson was invited to come here, and I think he's here.
Yeah, but there-
Why don't you,
Like to come up to the podium? Please, sir. Introduce yourself to us if you would.
I'm Wallace Hanson. Been in Goodland for 33 years now. Same property. I don't know. You won't ever hear me say anything bad about Goodland because I really like Goodland, and my wife does too. And but like Mr. Brown said, he and Mary asked me to apply for this position, so here I am.
Okay, and it looks like you've been on the planning commission in the past.
Well, I think so. Mary thought I was. It's been a few years ago. I think I was still a teacher at the time. Yeah. I look around this room and I see a few of my ex-students. Some of them were a little bit on the ornery side. No names
I'm not-
mentioned.
I'm gonna look left and right, I'm not sure who you're.
I'd be worried about them though if they weren't ornery. The ornery ones get something done. But anyway, I'd be glad to serve on the planning commission if so moved.
We appreciate your willingness to serve. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Okay.
So currently, we have 3 people on the board. It's a 5-position board, correct? So we have 2
Correct.
openings to fill on there still. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Hanson?
I move that we approve the application for Wallace Hanson for the planning commission.
Have a motion by Commissioner Redland,
Second?
a second by Commissioner Myers. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes, thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to reports, starting with our city manager, Kent.
Memo has been included in the packet. We also have the monthly report from the police department. Provide some information there. Also want to let you know that city offices will be closed on a week from Friday, well, not a week from Friday, this Friday. Just goes so quick. On the 23rd and the 26th, so on Friday and on a week from today. And then as well as on January 2nd, because the normal holidays are on the weekends, so we end up with those days closed as far as City Hall closed. That will mean that the date for the first meeting in January would be January 3rd, on that Tuesday evening. One thing I will ask about, and this is just for personal reasons, I'm helping out a family member over that weekend, and I'm helping my son move to Seattle. And I have a flight back on that January 3rd in the morning. So I hopefully will be back by that evening on January 3rd. But of course, those things are always, can be a situation. So if there's any possibility that we do have a meeting the following night on January 4th, as far as the builders board is meeting on the 4th. But if you're okay with that, understanding the circumstances, I intend to be back by that evening of January 3rd, but if there's any thought to moving it to, say, Thursday, that could be beneficial as well. Although it may not be beneficial to all the department heads here. I didn't check with them if the Thursday would work as well. But, public hearing is scheduled on the 3rd?
Oh.
Well, Patooey.
See you on
Be it on the 3rd. And if your city manager's not here, then He's not here. Maybe they'll have to participate through Josh's help if it gets to be too much of a situation. But just so that you're aware of that.
Okay.
So.
Hope you will make it.
Couple other minor things that have occurred, or a couple other scheduling things. The employee holiday party is scheduled for January 14th at the Elks Building. Be looking for invitations that will be out shortly regarding that. Last year we had it in January and it worked out better for the majority involved. Also, and I say this just so people with their animals can get ready, free dog licenses will be at City Hall on January 17th. And since we have only one additional meeting before that occurs, that's why I wanted to say something about that. We also had a situation that's getting corrected. The National Weather Service is responsible for the ASOS out at the airport. I shouldn't have said that acronym because now I don't remember what exactly it stands for. I had it in my weekly update. But the National Weather Service is waiting on parts for that particular piece of equipment that provides additional information to pilots as they start their approach to landing at the airport. It's very critical. Brooke's going to look up ASOS for me, ASOS, but it's in my weekly report. I should go there real quick. But it's a critical piece of equipment. They're looking, because the supply, something is not being delivered to them, but they're hoping to have it here within the next 2 weeks. So there is, it's an automated surface observing system, ASOS. But it does provide an issue in bad weather for for airplanes, certain categories of airplanes to land at the airport. So it was an issue that was brought up here recently. It was pretty critical. But they're getting addressed as soon as they can. And the original NOTAM that they have at the airport that gives information to airlines and to pilots had said that it would be until the end of February, but that's not the case. It's going to be hopefully within the next couple of weeks that'll get fixed. The other thing, we also met, water superintendent and myself met with engineer and another representative. We had been asking for the last over a year. It's been longer than that, but I won't say that publicly. To address the Memory Park water tower, which is the tower just one block north of City Hall here, and the roof and other structural elements out on the top of that water tower. And there are some concerns regarding that. We have been asking for a plan of action, and we hadn't received any plan of action from the company that's responsible for it. So we finally got a response from the company, and we should have something to give you a report of that here shortly. And then also included, or I stated it on additional information to you guys that we will have at the next meeting, basically a follow-up and a plan of action regarding the sewer system itself and a couple point repairs that we really need to complete. There's a couple different, well, there's more than a couple. But on an annual basis, we have a company come in here, camera different sewer lines throughout the city, also provide cleaning services. And there's been more than a couple different situations around town that are very alarming, that need to be addressed. Obviously, we can't do everything, but staff will present a proposal to you at next meeting regarding that. So, think that's it, unless somebody reminds me of something else, but, that's what I have at this time.
Do we have any questions or comments for our city manager? Thank you, Ken.
Sure.
Okay, we'll move on to commissioner reports. We'll start down here on my right, Commissioner Showalter.
Sure. While working on another project last week, I had the opportunity to talk to several department heads. I still have a few more that I wanted to talk to, but I was pleasantly surprised with the ones that I talked to when we discussed the salary increases and the structure that we worked on at the beginning of the year, and about how that has positively affected their ability to recruit applications and fill open positions. And I wanted to point that out, that I thought that through the good work that the department heads did by working to put that proposal together, and Mr. Brown working to put those in place, that has benefited the city. So I appreciate the work that they did, and I was glad to hear that. That was the question that I had for everybody just in general as they come up here. I got a chance to ask Dustin that the other night, but it was nice to hear that from the other department heads as well. So yeah, good things. That's my report.
All right, thank you.
I just wanted to tell everybody, hope they stay really warm this next couple days, and to have a great holiday season, and until next year. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Howard.
Don't have hardly anything, just wish everybody Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, be safe. See you next year.
Commissioner Redland.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to the rest of the commissioners, and as well as to the chief of police and the police department for my tone last meeting. My intention was not to come off harsh or anything of that matter. I just wanted the incident addressed, and I apologize for that. That it was my tone that seemed to come off in a not so good way. So I'm sorry.
Well, thank you for your apology. I don't know, you were not out of line by any means. You were definitely passionate about the way you were speaking, but thank you for that. I guess that brings it up to me. You got the topside tip off not that long ago. I want to thank everybody who helped out with that, including a lot of people in this room and a lot of people at the city helped out to get that thing through this year. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you for asking me to help. I was happy to do so. Also, Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year as the holidays come up. Stay safe, stay warm. And that's it for me. On that, though, I am going to make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to KSA 754319B1 regarding personal matters for non-elected personnel. I would like the additional commissioners to be here with me for a period of 10 minutes. I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion.
Have a second by Commissioner Showalter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Time is 5.
Swing by, I'll give you a city pen.
All right, let's call this meeting back to order. We are back in order. Does anybody have anything else to discuss this evening? Not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Redland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Howard. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.